Hello boys and girls, welcome to another session of Zork Nemesis. This time we will not play the game itself, but we will just read through the manual. I remember there was a nice booklet in the CD case of the game, and on Good Old Games this comes as a PDF file. So this is the title page. You see do I have even a mouse cursor, or no, you can't see this. Maybe I can show mouse cursor, maybe somehow. Capture mouse cursor, okay. It doesn't work anyway. Yeah, so hello Ferko. Yeah, so we just see the Zork logo and some numbers here. I will slide by side so you can see 10, 1, 9, 6 and 12. We don't know, it's full of mysteries and you have to explore yourself. Maybe there will be a place in the game where we can use these numbers, 10, 1, 9, 6, 12. I really don't remember much, but I believe that they could be used somewhere in the game. Okay, what else is here? The map, the Eastland. Here we can see Fenshire, Flathead Mountains, Aragain Province. We have read about Aragain in the library. Frigid River is this one. Yeah, now we have the mouse cursor, look at this. Iron Dune, I don't know. Well, I know what it is, but we don't know yet. It wasn't mentioned in the game yet, I think. Port Fusel and Gomer doesn't ring a bell. Flathead Fjord. So it looks like Flathead. This guy who has written the strange book has here some sort of a country or county at least. So here we see the Temple of Agrippa. Ah yes, and here we can see forbidden lands. So maybe the temple where we are is the Temple of Agrippa. We can see here a monastery, which should be written with or spelled with an E. But sometimes this game purposefully writes words in a different way, like December. Remember how we saw spelled December in the letters. Up here, Grey Mountain Province with an asylum, also for forbidden lands. Conservatory is here at the border, and there's a castle, Iron Dune. Yeah, all right. So, and here we have Frobos National Archives. Classification, unclassified. Location, Greater Underwing. Sector, some. Archive file, Anemphobila. Contents. Hello, Jungle Man. There we have. So this is some files of an agency which has sent us to explore the temple in the Forbidden Lands. Contents: journal and effects belonging to Agent L. Bivotar discovered 20 bloits downwind of the Eastlands aka the Forbidden Lands. And hello, Miguel. Instructions. By order of the esteemed Vice-Regent Siovar. I think we have read about Siovar in one of the books in the Temple's library. To be filed without indexing among the personal papers and memoirs of the Vice-Regent. Regent. Seal is to remain undisturbed on pain of severe torture and or dismemberment of any violator. Signed, Flapto Dimtop, Regal Director of Records and Historical Accuracy, Frobos National Archives. It's a name resembling the name with this flat head, dimwit, whatever we read the book, right? Dan is asking, where on that map is the location at which all the puzzles are at? I believe, Dan, it is the Temple of Agrippa over here. That's where we are currently, and where we are solving the puzzles at the moment. Okay, in the Forbidden Lands. So the Frigid River, which we mentioned, is here. Here is some sort of a conservatory. Here is some sort of castle called Iron Dune. There is an asylum here, and there is a monastery over here. And Flathead Fjord, Flathead Mountains have something to do with these Flathead. And here is a strange marking in this map. Could be waterfalls, could be some sort of dam, marked FCD. Yes, FCD3. I have no idea what that means right now. And here are forests of Famathria. Desert River Province and Gomer, Port Fusel and Frobos. I don't know where Frobos is. It doesn't say where Frobos is. Anyway, so we have Frobos National Archives with a triangular stamp, NFA. Alright, so this is the front page of these files here. By declaration of the esteemed Vice-Regent Siovar the Strong, this parchment declares that Agent Karlok Bivotar has full rights and authority to act as an agent and representative of the Vice-Regent Siovar in all matters concerning the investigation of cases 95820, 95821, 95822, and 95823 with a star of the Bureau of Missing Citizens. And the footnote says, referring to the suspicious disappearance of Madame Sophia Hamilton, Bishop Francois Malveau, Dr. Erasmus Sartorius, General Thaddeus Kaine, respectively, all citizens of importance and stature whose welfare is of the utmost concern of the Vice-Regent and the Empire. You see? So they, I don't know whether we are the agent Karlok Bivotar or whether Karlok Bivotar is the agent which the ghostly voice spoke about, that he died and perished, and before he could really admire the gallery, as we have heard in one of the previous sessions. So that could have been this agent Karlok Bivotar, and we are probably an agent to find what happened. That's how I currently think about this game. So any request for assistance and information made by Agent Bivotar should be treated with the utmost immediacy. Long live the Vice-Regent. Okay, 17th December 947. Most esteemed Vice-Regent Siovar, my sovereign, I now stand at the outskirts of the Forbidden Lands, prepared to make quick work of this strange and weighty assignment entrusted to me. I was somewhat disturbed that our briefing was hastened by an unexplained urgency. Nevertheless, my objectives are clear to me, as enumerated by your eminence. First, to determine the whereabouts of 4, in parentheses, 4 as a digit, missing citizens of prominence. Second, to substantiate the alleged curse of the so declared forbidden lands. Third, to investigate rumors of unauthorized magic, black or otherwise, in the region. And that's it, actually. But basically, it's only 3 points. Determine the whereabouts, substantiate the curse, and investigate the rumors of the unauthorized magic in the Forbidden Lands. So, it is the final element of my assignment that most intrigues me, and if I read your countenance properly, stands to bear the most significant fruit. That you have ordered my mission through unorthodox procedures and made special request that I report back to you alone gives me cause to think there may be much to be gained from this adventure. I shall keep these papers faithfully. You have promised great rewards. I should hope so, as true to its name, the land seems to promise great risk. Your obedient servant, Bivotar. So that was on 17 December 1947. 22nd December 1947. It looks like his journal now. I am now 3 days' journey south from the northern branch of the Frigid River. The border crossing was well guarded. Even with the scroll bearing Siovar's signature, the royal militia was reluctant to let me cross. They must have thought me crazy for wanting to journey into the Forbidden Lands, and perhaps I am. I have not yet reached the edge of the desert, but already the signs of devastation are obvious on every side. Immense scars and patches of burnt land are visible with alarming frequency, as if the implementors have tormented the province with an unceasing series of lightning strikes and firestorms. Giant corbies circle overhead menacingly, already waiting for me to collapse in exhaustion. This is no place for the living. Of the hauntings and hallucination, this much I can piece together. The grey mountains slipped into oblivion first. The inhabitants of the Frostham complaining of horrible screams and inescapable stench that pervaded the area. Reports came from the desert river next. Merchants and trading caravans that still moved through the areas untouched by the war began to report nightmares and visions so powerful that they lingered for weeks in the minds of the victims. Soon the entire sky over that area became covered with distorted faces and figures, prompting Siovar to consider forbidding all access to these desolate provinces. Most of the refugees managed to make it out in time. Those who didn't are now dead, or, from what I have witnessed thus far, wish they were. Ooh, spooky. 24th December 947. It is clear to me now that the Vice-Regent's order to make all of the eastern provinces outside of his control into forbidden territory was a wise decision. It is doubtful to me if even Siovar the Strong, dear Yoruk, the life of a sycophant, must I call him that, even in my personal papers? Even Siovar the Strong would be able to defeat. It is doubtful to me if even Siovar the Strong would be able to defeat the force that has taken control of this land. Whether it truly is a curse or simply the latest terrorist tactic of the Enchanters Guild. So it seems like the Bivotar doesn't really like to call Siovar the Strong in his personal papers. Like, this is his personal journal, right? Okay, and he's suspecting maybe the Enchanters Guild has something to do with the desolate state of the Forbidden Lands. Moreover, since the fall of the Empire, these lands have been devastated by famine and barbarian invasions of the worst kind. It would be a wasted effort for Siovar to attempt to recapture these territories in hopes of restoring the great underground empire, just as it is a wasted effort for me to be here now. Civilized life will never again thrive in these territories, a fact undeniably attested by the unpalatable platypus pot pie I was forced to eat for my dinner last night, if you call it that. Some sort of evil spirit has come to reside, at least in the gastronomy of this place, that much is clear. So here we see a page with strange symbols. Now actually we know all of these symbols. Let's repeat them. So this one is Saturn, Moon, Sun. This is tin, copper, Venus, Mars, lead, iron. This was, I believe, air. No, wait. This was fire. This was fire. This was air. This was water. This was earth. And this one is Jupiter, or Juperon, as it is called here. Okay. So, 5th estuary, 948. I arrived at the outskirts of Iron Dune, Caine's territory, at dusk yesterday. I found only one old woman sitting in the central square, lost in her own little world. She hadn't eaten in days or bathed in weeks. Using a stick to carve lines in the dirt, she preoccupied herself by doodling a vast array of astrological symbols all across the square. I tried to grab her attention, but she simply went on mumbling about the nature of the secret elixir in the philosopher's stone, and praising the unity of all elements. The references to the forbidden alchemical sciences caught my ear, and I pressed her for details. She pretended not to hear me, only gradually answering my own questions by continuing to talk to herself. But I called a garbled reference to one Dr. Erasmus Sartorius, aka my assignment 95822. I hurriedly began to copy down the symbols she was drawing in the dust. Before I could finish, she took the pen from my hand and began to sketch the most beautiful otherworldly drawing. I asked if I could have it, and she took from her bag a roll of parchment filled with her elaborate mystic visions. I have studied them for hours and don't know what to make of them. They are strangely arresting. 7th estuary, 948. As I make my way through the desert south of Aragain, the desolation of the sand dunes renders this already deserted province nearly unbearable. It seems hard to believe this desert was not always a wasteland, not until the black magic of two ruling egos leveled it. I can see Iron Dune rising up in the distance, surrounded by plumes of black smoke. I see that Elrond wastes no time now that the general is absent. Perhaps here I will find some answers that will lead me to General Kaine and hasten my return home. My fellow wayfarers of the unimpressive yet customary sort that you find along the great underground highways of this land attribute the curse to some dark figure they will only call the Nemesis. The name has surfaced 2 or 3 times now, and with the same dark respect a child attributes to the boogeyman. But these are mawkish, superstitious folks, with not the inside of a brogmoid between them. I refuse to endure another endless game of Fanucci in hopes of eliciting more useless information. Let's take a look at the sketch here. I don't know what to make of this. We know what this is. We've been there already. As you can recognize, this is the pedestal in the temple, where we have one by one brought down the elements, the alchemical elements, to revive the 4 alchemists. Probably it's one of the drawings of this poor woman, right? So let's read further. 27th Estuary, 948. Siovar, I have spent the past few weeks traversing the territories of Iron Dune, my regent. The endless border disputes between Elrond and Cain over, if you recall, the former Aragain and Desert River provinces. Endless border disputes. The endless border disputes between Elrond and Cain over the former Aragain and Desert provinces. Seem to drag on without solution, as they have for several decades now. So it looks like Cain and Elrond were 2 military leaders having quite the struggle about the border between their provinces. No 2 men have despised each other more. As we imagined, since Cain's inexplicable disappearance, his army has fallen into complete disarray, and even his precious Iron Dune is under siege. And we see a page, profile page, Bureau of Missing Citizens, Division of Prominent and Special Citizenry. Stamped with a BMC. Case file, unsolved, classification X, name Cain Thaddeus, date of birth Jelly 6, 899, place of birth Aragain, employment general in the Vice-Regent's Royal Militia, Liege at Iron Dune, physical characteristics, see attached photo, last sighting, leaving Iron Dune, headed in the direction of the Temple of Agrippa. For bureau use only. The subject of this report is a citizen in full standing of the Empire, is a prominent and useful citizen, and does not cross-reference into any reports criminal, insurrections, suspicions, magical or otherwise. Okay. Hello, Yugoslavenka. So, yet perhaps more remarkable than the despair of Cain's army is the lamentable state of Elrond's. Elrond's armies have fallen utterly out of his control. Every man has fallen prey to the sickness that pervades this land. From his highest generals to his lowest foot soldiers, large numbers of soldiers have fallen upon one random village after the next, like packs of wild wolves. These hordes seem to be driven by a force almost outside of themselves, moving in directions and committing atrocities that even they do not understand. What inhabitants remain in the region keep hidden behind their boarded up doors. I try to enlist them in conversation, but they are too frightened, and most of what they say makes little sense. I have kept some record. Since the Nemesis began to visit us, I no longer fear the devil. Blood runs in the streets where he goes. The madness begins later, and the hallucinations, unspeakable atrocities written in the dunes, the dirt, the sky. The first one to die was skinned alive by his own tent mate, as he screamed about the lady and her lover. Please, that's all, said Andrew Brogg, Port Foozle. Another report. I love the skies here at night. You see such beautiful things. That woman is the most stunning sight I have ever seen. But the darkness, it stalks her. I witness her murder again and again. Every time I dream, In the morning my pillow is wet with her blood. Is there nothing you can do to save her? Areola Comnena, Frigid River Valley. Okay. Another report says the general was a good man, a family man. If he knew what was happening in his own land with his own people. It's a bloody shame. Spooks or not, the old empire has fallen. Fallen. FB Pankita Zilonica. I do not see things that they see. I cannot help but wonder why it is that I have been spared. The sickness that pervades this place has passed me over. I fear it is only a matter of time. Okay, in the previous page we had an enclosed drawing of the castle Iron Dune with what looks like a tank at the front door here, the front entrance. 2nd February 948. I have reached the castle Iron Dune and was surprised to recognize the castle from among the mad woman's sketches. What to make of this, I don't know. Clearly the sickness has preceded me here. Elrond's armies have pushed what is left of the resistance all the way to the southern reaches of Famathria, across the southern branch of the Frigid River and within sight of Cain's ancestral castle. No one here knows what the final goal of that insane and rebellious army might be, nor exactly what the siege of this castle will accomplish. Still, the black smoke of battle grows thicker every day. It was not difficult to slip past Elrond's troops undetected, but when I reached Iron Dune, I discovered a most amazing thing. The majority of Cain's troops aren't even convinced that the general has disappeared at all. It appears Cain, who, as you will no doubt recall, invented thedium, remains equal parts scientist and general. He maneuvers his troops through an elaborate system of remote radio control codes of such a sophisticated nature that I have been unable to decipher them. And all that I know is this. The codes seem to telegraph Cain's instructions on any given day, provided the soldier can identify himself with the given cipher for that day. If I progress any further with this intelligence, I will forward it immediately. I sense that information of this nature would be entirely too dangerous to carry on my person. Interesting to know. So, General Kaine, look at this. He is remotely controlling his military troops via radio code. 10th February 948. I stumbled upon an old castle guard today, raving mad and desperate to talk. Such is my luck. He spent all morning lecturing on the minute differences between each of the general's many suits of armor. I wanted to borrow a knife from one of their scabbards and slit his throat. Lucky for him, the scabbard was empty. Unluckily for me, he continued on with his deranged show and tell all afternoon, trying to convince me this one repugnant little antique dog was actually some sort of weapon. And I am Lord Flathead, and you are Yorog himself. Apparently this toothless old Hungus has known Cain since he was a boy. Note, General Kaine doesn't seem to inspire this type of fervent fealty in all those who serve under him. The guard, no less inclined, pressed these photographs into my hands and begged me to bring his beloved liege back to him. I recognized some of the figures in the photograph from the society page, the New Zork Times, etc., but I realized that I had never seen the young man whom the guard confirmed to be Lucian, Caine's only son. Why this Lucian has never been present at any of the regional councils on war, governance or taxation, that, as heir to Iron Dune, he would have been overwhelmingly likely to attend with his father. I could not speculate. The guard recalled that he was either an artist or a dentist of some significance. In either case, I am thinking that he may have gone to practice in some foreign clime, perhaps the Westlands. Let's take a look at the photographs. Lucian Cain. Lady Elizabeth Cain. Madame Sophia Hamilton. So Lady Elizabeth Cain is Caine's wife, holding together a child here. Lucian, Madame Sophia Hamilton. But there was a hint of a love affair between Sophia and Cain. Maybe there is more to this. Okay, I must find this Lucian Cain. I'm convinced he will lead me to the General. Lady Cain, whom I have determined to be in seclusion in Antharia, has a well-documented history of poor health and cannot be disturbed. Iron Dune, once a frontier post in the great campaign of Duncanthrax in the 7th century, is the ancestral home of her family and falls to Cain by marriage, not blood. So we see the great war hero is perhaps as shrewd as he is strong. Of course, he won a territory by marriage, and he tries to win another territory by war. So here we see another personal file, Bureau of Missing Citizens, Madame Hamilton, Sophia Hamilton, Memberber. So Memberber is probably November. So it's not member. There was a strange writing on a page in the library where I said Memberber 6. Or 6 Memberber, and I wonder what is this Memberber, but it could like be November. Born in Argane, employment musician, headmistress of Frigid River Branch Conservatory. Physical characteristics, see photo. Leaving the last sighting. Leaving the conservatory, headed in the direction of Temple Agrippa. Okay. So far, all missing characters have been lastly sighted heading to the Temple of Agrippa. Of course, we have found them there, right? Captured without their elements which make them strong. So 15 February 948, I came across a single photograph of a beautiful woman whom I have determined to be Madame Sophia Hamilton, concert musician and headmistress of the Frigid River Branch Conservatory, not to mention a case file 95-820 or 95820 of my quest. The possibility that I might discover the nature of the connection between the Honorable General and the cultured Madame leads me north to the Frigid River at once. The potential nature of their connection is a subject upon which decorum forbids me from further speculating at this time. Suffice it to say that the General, too, is a widely noted expert in the usage of a variety of instruments. Okay. 17th February. The Frigid River Valley is just that. Question: how many grooves does it take to screw in a light bulb? Yeah, we've seen the depiction of the groove. From the desk of Bivotar. Things to do when I get back. File report. Write to cousin Antax. Visit mother. Mine. Get new styling gelatin for oily hair. Take a bath. Mail Curse Day cards, belated. Get the new Sound Dungeon album. Buy Yipple Kibble for Peppy. Okay, 25th February 948. I finally reached the conservatory today. A second startling discovery. The madwoman with her peculiar alchemy must have anticipated my journey, for the exact likeness of the conservatory appears in her imagery, just as Iron Dune did weeks ago. The atmosphere of that imposing structure hung heavy, and still I saw that it has fallen into despair since the disappearance of its ruling madam. I felt strangely sympathetic to her, as if being in her rare cultured world could show me something of her refined presence or teach me something of her expert knowledge. If I stood for a moment listening, it was almost as if I could hear lingering melodies from years ago. I felt for her a moment a strange sadness. I believe time is not so fixed in this place as elsewhere, though I know here, as everywhere, the old must eventually be replaced with the new. Then the oddest thing happened. A darkness came over me, a feeling of utter fury, a kind of hatred I have never before known. I screamed. I could not help myself, and found that the sound I heard was not my voice, but the roar of a great beast, a demon in a murderous frenzy. I heard the sound of glass breaking, and I looked up to see a cleaning woman. She backed away from me, making the sign of Yoruk over her breast, and whispered, "Nemesis." Perhaps the curse of this land is working upon me yet. It is difficult to stay untouched. Yeah, we could go further and read probably about many other things, but so it looks like that there is a little bit written on every of these guys, and since we have now read through the part talking about General Kaine, I suggest that we leave this manual here now, and we'll try to proceed in the game, exploring further the character of General Kaine. Okay, and this castle Iron Dune. So I'll see you in about 5 or 10 minutes with some new game footage, and we will return to these files once we are either stuck or done with that sort of path, because right now at the game we are at the junction, at the point where we can decide, okay, what to do first. Will we first deal with the character of General Kaine, Sophia, Sartorius, or Malvo? So since we have read some files about Kaine, let's do Kaine first and save the other 3 for later, also reading these other 3 files later. So I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.